Have you ever been contacted by an old friend from your past exactly when you're thinking about him? Have you ever struggled with a problem for weeks, only to discover its precise solution while browsing an unrelated book, magazine, or website? Or being chased by the same number or symbol appearing over and over for a week or a month? If so, you may have dismissed all this as mere coincidences. But what if it was something more? In this episode, we will explore a mysterious phenomenon that can be observed in our lives from time to time: the synchronicity. The definition of synchronicity was developed by the famous Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung in the 20th century. But what motivated Jung? To gain a better understanding, let's examine some well-known examples of synchronicities. In the early years of his career, Jung had a patient who was highly educated and deeply entrenched in a rigid, rationalistic worldview. She was what Jung referred as psychologically inaccessible, as her intellectual defenses were so strong that she was not making any progress in her therapy. In one session, she was describing to Jung a dream she had the night before. In the dream, she was given a piece of valuable jewelry in the shape of a golden scarab. As the woman was describing the dream, Jung heard the noise of something tapping behind him. He was sitting with his back to a closed window, and as he turned it around, he saw a flying insect repeatedly tapping against the window pane, trying to get into the dark room. Jung, immediately recognizing the extraordinary timing of the event, opened the window. The insect flew in, and he caught it in mid-air. It was a road shatter beetle, and the beetle's golden green color strongly resembled a golden scarab. Jung presented the beetle to the patient, saying, "Here is your scarab." The experience had a profound and immediate effect on her. She was so astonished by the perfect and seemingly impossible timing and coincidence that her intellectual defenses were shattered. The rationalist shell that she had built around herself was fractured. Her resistance to the therapeutic process broke down, and her treatment was able to proceed with successful results. Another example is a case involving the actor Anthony Hopkins in the 1970s. He was preparing for his role in a film adaptation of the novel The Girl from Pertovka by the author George Pfeiffer. Eager to prepare himself for the part, he tried to buy a copy of the book to read. After scouring numerous bookstores in central London, he discovered that the book was out of print and was repeatedly told that no copies were available. Feeling sad, Hopkins went to the Leicester Square underground station to catch a train. As he sat on the bench waiting, he noticed a book in line there, seemingly abandoned. He picked it up, and to his astonishment, it was a copy of The Girl from Pertovka. It was a well-worn copy with handwritten notes and annotations in the margins. It was exactly what he had been looking for, and the coincidence was baffling. The story became truly extraordinary 2 years later, during the filming of the movie in Vienna. Hopkins met the author of the novel, George Pfeiffer, on the set. During a conversation, Hopkins recounted his incredible story of finding the lost book on a bench. Pfeiffer expressed a shocked reaction as told Hopkins that he had been missing his own heavily annotated copy of the book, which has been lent to a friend who had lost it somewhere in London. When Hopkins showed him the copy he had found 2 years earlier, Pfeiffer was astonished. The handwritten notes and the markings were his own. The book that Hopkins had unexpectedly found was in fact the author's own long-lost copy, which had been lost and then been found in a sprawling city of millions. So, what really is synchronicity? A synchronicity is what Jung called a meaningful coincidence. It's a set of interrelated events that are connected without any causal relationships. For example, in the case of the Scarab, the dream itself was not the cause of the Scarab's appearance on the window, but the two events are a meaningful coincidence. In the second example, the fact that Hopkins wanted the book was not the reason the book was on the bench. They were related events, but one was not the cause of the other. Therefore, to be considered a synchronicity, one event from our internal world, a dream, a desire, a thought, an emotion, a vision, must connect with an external event that mirrors this internal state in a meaningful way. Additionally, for Jung, the result of this coincidence must have a substantial internal impact or meaning, an awe-inspiring moment capable of evoking amazement and shock. These events do not need to be synchronous in time, as in the second example, where part of it occurred years later, for synchronicity is not bound by our linear time. Jung first began to seriously notice this phenomenon in late 1920s. However, his concerns about the concept's radical departure from conventional scientific thought led him to wait over 2 decades before formally publishing his work in the subject in 1952, in conjunction with Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel-winning physicist who became Jung's intellectual partner. Jung needed Pauli's reputation to avoid being labeled as a mystic or pseudo-scientist. To be completely honest, we don't know precisely the inner workings of the synchronicities. We are aware that they occur, and they have a significant impact on our lives. But Jung and Pauli theorized that they are part of a broader definition of reality that embeds elements from psychology, philosophy, and metaphysics. The first of these elements is the concept of Unus Mundus. Literally, it translates to one world. Now, I know that sounds mystical, but please stay with me, because this concept has echoes in both ancient philosophy and modern physics. The Unus Mundus is the idea that beneath our everyday reality of separate things, you, me, the chair you're sitting on, the thoughts in your head, there is a single, unified, underlining reality. Think of it like this. Imagine you are at the beach, watching the waves. You see hundreds of individual waves, each with its own shape and motion. They seem separate, don't they? But you know that, in truth, they are not separated things. They are all just expressions of the one ocean. In this analogy, we are the waves. The physical world, our thoughts, our dreams, they are all waves on the surface. The Unus Mundus is the ocean, is the single primordial reality from which everything originates, and to which everything returns. In this one world, the usual distinctions we make between the psychic or inner world, our thoughts and emotions, and the physical, the material world, dissolve. They are two different expressions of the same single essence. A meaningful coincidence is not about your mind magically influencing the world or the world send you a secret message. From the perspective of the Unus Mundus, there is no separation to begin with. The dream about the Scarab beetle and the actual beetle weren't two separate things that need to connect. They were two manifestations of the same underlying pattern, emerging from the one world at the exact moment. Synchronicity, then, is a crack in the fabric of our normal perception, is a fleeting, breathtaking glimpse in the unified blueprint of reality. And this is where the physicist Wolfgang Pauli becomes so essential again. The strange world of quantum physics also points to some similar conclusions, that the observer and the observed are not truly separated. At the fundamental level, reality is a web of interconnected potentials. The ancient alchemical idea of Unus Mundus was suddenly looking strangely modern. But if in the Unus Mundus mind and matter are united and we experience synchronicity, what is the force from which these meanings arise? What makes the inner and the outer worlds suddenly rhyme? The answer is the archetypes. We've discussed the archetypes in the previous episode about the collective unconscious, card here and link in the description. But very briefly, for Jung, the archetypes are the fundamental universal patterns that structure our existence. They are like the primordial laws of meaning, of which most of our biggest behaviors patterns are reflections. These patterns don't just exist in our human minds, they are the inherent ordering principles of the Unus Mundus itself. They are to the world of meaning what gravity is to the physical world, an invisible force that shapes existence. Here is an analogy to visualize the relationship between these concepts. Imagine first a powerful magnet, a sheet of paper, and a handful of iron filings. The Unus Mundus is the entire field. It is the paper and the space around it. It is the underlying reality where everything is connected. The archetype is the magnet you place under the paper. It is an invisible, powerful organizing force that creates a specific pattern in the field. The iron feelings are your inner and outer life. First, your thoughts, feelings, and dreams are feelings in one half of the paper. The people, objects, and events in the outside world are feelings in the other half. Normally, the feelings are scattered. But when a significant event occurs in your life that is part of an archetypical expression, say for example you are facing a major challenge that forces you to grapple with expressions of the hero archetype, the magnet begins to act. Suddenly, a powerful organized pattern emerges. The iron feelings of your inner world, dreams of courage, feelings of determination, and the iron feelings of the outer world, finding a mentor, a helpful book falling off the shelf, snap into alignment simultaneously. They don't cause each other. The book didn't fall because you had a dream. They both moved at the same time because they were both being arranged by some underlying archetypical field. Synchronicity is simply the moment you look down at reality and gasp, "Whoa, the pattern of the inside is the same as the pattern of the outside." You are not just witnessing a coincidence, you are seeing a direct action of a universal, meaning-making pattern, an archetype, shaping reality itself through the unified field of the Unus Mundus. And this is the true breathtaking magic of this concept. Well, from this moment on, try to pay more attention to the strange coincidences that can happen in your life. They often appear when, first, you are on the path of expansion or making a sound, intuitive decision. Second, you need to pay attention to something you've been ignoring, like part of your personal shadow. Third, you are in a time of significant personal transformation. Try to identify the messages or symbols that are embedded in these events. And pay attention. When the reflex of one archetype expresses itself in your life, synchronicities can start to happen small, like a gentle reminder for you. However, if you don't acknowledge or choose not to see them, things can start to escalate quickly. There are complementary tools you can use in this process. You can use a journal to record these events and reflect on their meaning with yourself. Adopt a mindset of open curiosity rather than skepticism or disbelief. Or use your intuition more than your rationalism to interpret the meaning of these coincidences. If you watched our episode about the Matrix, you can compare the synchronicity with a glitch in the Matrix. In that moment, you have the clear intuition that there are more mysterious things at work in our reality. These moments can bring back mystery to our lives and help us break free, at least for some time, from the usual patterns that control us. They are brief moments of clarity that can help us to awaken. What meaningful coincidence have you experienced? Share your stories with everyone in the comments below. In this channel, we produce our best content to help your awakening process. We discuss reality, psychology, physics, metaphysics, philosophy, spirituality, and magic. Always in a way that can make sense to rational but open minds. Explore the rest of our videos, as each one is a little piece of the jigsaw that can change your life. So remember to like, subscribe, activate the bell, and comment below. Thank you for watching and for your time. Be open, be good, and be responsible. See you in another video. Bye bye.